All right, so today we're going to deep dive into something pretty wild. You ever heard of hypnovibes?
Yeah, definitely. Hypno Vibes. It's that YouTube channel with Naomi, right? She does the hypno channeling thing.
Exactly. So basically, she uses hypnosis to channel higher consciousness and give people guidance and stuff.
It's like tapping into universal wisdom or something. Pretty far out there, but also kind of fascinating.
Yeah, no kidding. So in this particular section, we're looking at, she's working with this woman named Palitz. And Plant has been like really into her mushroom journeys lately.
Oh, wow. So like she's having some pretty intense experiences already.
Yeah, and one of the first things that the channeled entity tells her is to slow down.
That makes sense, though, right? If you're doing these journeys too often, you might not be giving yourself enough time to process everything.
Exactly. They call it integration, right? Like actually absorbing the lessons and insights from each experience.
Yeah. It's like if you try to drink from a fire hose, you're going to get some water, but most of it will just blast past you.
Perfect analogy. So the entity is basically saying Polis could be getting too many energy upgrades too quickly, and it might be overwhelming her system.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. Our bodies and minds can only handle so much change at once.
Totally. And there's this one part where the entity mentions that Pulitz didn't feel much during one of her recent mushroom sessions, and they suggest that maybe her system was already overloaded.
Oh, wow. So it's like her intuition was telling her to take a break, but she wasn't listening.
Yeah. It's like our bodies have a way of letting us know when we're pushing too hard, but we don't always pay attention.
We can be pretty good at ignoring those signals, can't we?
For sure.
Yeah.
So how does Pulitz supposed to slow down and integrate these experiences? What does that actually look like?
Well, the entity really emphasizes the importance of observation, like paying attention to how you react to things, to people, to your environment.
So like noticing how this new energy you've taken on interacts with the world around you.
Exactly. And they specifically mention that Pulitz might experience an increased sensitivity to other people's energy.
Okay, that's interesting. I've heard other people say that after these kinds of experiences. So how often is too often when it comes to mushroom journeys? Did the entity give any specifics?
Yeah, they actually said that doing them every week or every other week can be too much, even if you think you're integrating properly.
And Pulitz had been doing them that frequently for a while.
Yeah. They said she was doing them like every week or every other week for a couple months straight. They even mentioned that your intention matters.
Like if you're going into it seeking knowledge about the universe, you might be able to handle more frequent journeys. But that doesn't mean you can apply all that knowledge to your daily life right away.
It's like cramming for an exam versus actually learning and integrating the material over time. You might be able to recall the information for the test, but will you remember it a month later?
Right. It's about finding that balance between seeking those profound experiences and making sure you're grounded enough to use what you're learning.
Totally. It's like anything else. Too much of a good thing can backfire.
Now, this is where I think things get really relatable. Naomi, as the channeler, brings up something that I think a lot of people struggle with, not feeling fulfilled in their current job.
Oh, yeah. Pulitz mentions that she doesn't resonate with her work at all.
And the channeled entity sees that self-awareness as a positive first step.
Yeah. They reassure her that she'll be able to pursue her passions. And get this, they say that financial abundance will follow.
Whoa, hold on. That sounds amazing, but is it really that simple?
Yeah.
What about the practical side of things?
Well, they don't just offer empty promises. They actually encourage her to examine any negative beliefs about money that she might be holding on to.
So it's not just about blindly following your dreams. It's about addressing the underlying mindset that might be sabotaging you.
Right. Because a lot of us are taught to believe that money is hard to come by, especially if you're doing what you love. And that belief can actually become a self-fulfilling prophecy.
It's like running on autopilot, following these ingrained beliefs without ever questioning them.
Totally. And they're saying, hey, wake up. You have the power to choose different beliefs.
Powerful stuff. So they're basically saying that it's possible to have both fulfillment and financial security.
Yeah. And they also make it clear that abundance isn't just about money. It's about supportive friendships, a sense of purpose, feeling connected to something larger than yourself. It's about a holistic sense of well-being.
Okay, now this next part gets a little strange. Pulitz talks about someone randomly approaching her and commenting on her high energy, but claiming to be a non-human entity.
What? Okay, that's a bit out there.
I know, right? And Pulitz is understandably confused by this whole encounter.
So what does the channeled entity have to say about that?
Well, they say that it wasn't random and that there was a message there for her.
So like no such thing as coincidence.
It seems that way. But when Politz asks for more details about who this entity was, they get pretty cryptic. They say it's not time for her to know yet.
Okay, so that's a bit of a cliffhanger, but it definitely adds to the mystery of it all.
It does. And this is where the idea of synchronicity comes in. The channeled entity encourages Politz to pay more attention to her intuition, to the signs and symbols around her.
So it's about tuning into that inner knowing instead of getting caught up in your head.
Exactly. And they specifically mention numbers. Politz has been seeing repeating numbers, and they say that these can offer guidance if you're open to receiving them.
That's so interesting. I've always been fascinated by the idea of repeating numbers as signs from the universe.
Me too. So they suggest looking up the meanings of the number combinations, seeing what resonates, but they also emphasize that your own intuition will often give you a direct understanding of their significance.
So it's not just about blindly following external interpretations. It's about connecting with your own inner wisdom.
Exactly. And here's the best part. They say that often those repeating numbers are simply a confirmation that you're on the right path. So if you see them and you're feeling good, just keep going.
I love that. It's like a little pat on the back from the universe. You're doing great. Keep it up.
And it highlights this idea that guidance can come in many forms, not just words or channeled entities, but also synchronicities, intuition, even feelings associated with seemingly random events.
It's about being open to receiving messages in unexpected ways.
This is already blowing my mind.
Yeah.
So much to think about.
I know, right? And this is just the beginning. You know, it's funny because we talk about all this like intuition and trusting the universe, but then there's this like practical side of life too, you know?
Totally. It's like, okay, universe, I trust you, but also rent is due next week. How does that all fit together?
Right. And the channeled entity actually acknowledges that. They basically say it's not always easy to just like drop everything and follow your bliss, especially when you have responsibilities.
So it's not about being reckless. It's more about finding that balance.
Yeah. They even say something like, you also have to acknowledge that you are a functioning member of society who needs money to survive.
Okay, so practicality check. But how do you actually balance pursuing your passion with, staying afloat financially?
Well, they have this interesting advice about that. Instead of waiting till you've saved up enough money to pursue your passion, you should start incorporating it into your life right now, even in small ways.
I love that. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just start.
Yeah.
But how do you actually do that when you're feeling stuck?
They talk about taking action to show your higher self that you're serious about this, like sending a signal to the universe that you're ready for things to shift.
So it's not just about daydreaming, it's about actually doing something about it.
Exactly. And they say those feelings of excitement and curiosity, those are indicators that you're on the right track.
Makes sense. But how do you deal with the doubts? Like those voices in your head that say, you can't afford to follow your dreams, or what if you fail?
That's where those negative beliefs about money come back into play. And the channeled entity really emphasizes this. They're basically saying, look, those beliefs are not serving you. Are they even true, or are you just making them true because you believe them?
Whoa. That's deep. It's like shining a spotlight on those self-sabotaging thoughts we all have.
Right. And it's not easy to change those beliefs overnight, but they encourage you to at least start questioning them. Like, ask yourself, what does this negative belief serve me? Is it helping me create the life I want?
So it's about becoming aware of those limiting beliefs and then consciously choosing to replace them with something more empowering.
Exactly. And they have this great quote. If you know that your beliefs create your reality, why not choose to have the belief that you are always supported, you are always abundant?
I love that. It's like giving yourself permission to believe in the best possible outcome. But it's not just positive thinking, right? You have to actually take action too.
Oh, for sure. They talk about this person who's learning the art of healing, but they're still stuck in the mindset of needing a 9-to-5 for security.
Yeah, I think a lot of people can relate to that. It's like you're drawn to this new path, but you're also afraid to let go of the old one.
It's scary to step outside your comfort zone, right?
Totally. And the entity acknowledges that it's not easy, but they encourage taking those small steps in the direction of your passion, trusting that things will work out.
It's like that saying, leap and the net will appear.
But what if the net doesn't appear? That's what scares people.
That's where the belief work comes in, strengthening that trust in yourself and in the universe, honoring where you are right now, but also knowing that you have the power to choose a different path.
So it's about giving yourself permission to explore those new possibilities without judgment or pressure.
Yeah.
Just taking those baby steps.
Yes. And letting that excitement and curiosity be your guide. Remember, they said those feelings are indicators that you're on the right track.
Okay, I'm feeling inspired now. But what about pullets and that mysterious encounter with a non-human entity? Did they ever reveal who that was?
You know, they didn't. They kept it pretty vague, saying it wasn't time for her to know yet.
Oh, come on. That's such a tease.
I know. But I guess it's part of the mystery.
It is kind of intriguing, though. Makes you wonder about all the things we don't know about the universe.
Right. Like, what else is out there that we haven't even considered?
So where do we go from here? What does all this mean for us, the listeners?
Well, I think it's an invitation to examine our own beliefs about abundance or passions and how we might be holding ourselves back from truly living. It's so easy to just get caught up in like the daily grind and forget to actually check in with ourselves, you know? Like, am I happy? Am I actually living a life that feels good?
It's so true. And this session really highlights that. So how do we start bridging that gap between where we are and where we want to be?
Well, the channeled entity talks about the importance of examining our beliefs. Like they ask, what does this negative belief serve you? Is it really true? Or do you make it true by believing in it?
Yeah, that's a good one. It reminds me of that saying, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. It all comes down to our beliefs. And then they say something really powerful. It's like, if you know that your beliefs create your reality, why not choose to believe that you're always supported? You're always abundant.
It's like giving yourself permission to believe in the best possible outcome. But it's not just about thinking positive thoughts, right?
Right. It's about aligning your actions with your beliefs. They give this example of someone who's learning to heal but still feels like they need a 9-to-5 job for security.
I think a lot of people get stuck in that mindset. It's like you're drawn to something new, but you're also afraid to let go of the old, even if it's not working for you anymore.
Yeah, it's like being afraid to step outside your comfort zone.
Totally. So what's the solution? How do you overcome that fear?
The entity acknowledges that it's not always easy, but they say you have to take those steps towards your passion, trusting that things will work out.
Easier said than done.
Yeah.
But I guess that's where faith comes in, right?
Yeah. It's about strengthening your trust in yourself and in the universe. Honoring where you are now, but also knowing that you can choose something different.
So it's about giving yourself permission to explore new possibilities without all that judgment and pressure.
And remembering that those feelings of excitement and curiosity, they're your guides. If something lights you up, pay attention to that.
Love it. So to wrap things up, what's the one big takeaway you want listeners to get from this whole HypnoVibes experience?
I think it's this. You have the power to create a life that feels truly aligned with who you are. It starts with examining your beliefs, paying attention to your intuition, and taking those courageous steps towards what brings you joy.
Beautifully said. And if you're ready to dive deeper into this whole raising your consciousness thing, Naomi Zhu has that book series called The Next Level You on Amazon.
Definitely check it out. But even more importantly, we want to leave you with this question to ponder. If you could get guidance from a channeled entity, what would you ask? Think about that as you continue on your journey. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
Allow your joy, your excitement to guide you.
And then you will do well. And then one day you realize you don't have to do the other job.
But if someone believes in that or has that belief, they might have belief of non-abundance taught to them by society. So it's also worth for you to look at your beliefs and to see if you have the belief that money does not come easily if you chase your passion.
Money does not come what?
Come easily if
You chase your passion.
yes.
So if you have that belief, because that belief will make you not be able to chase your passion. You have to really believe that if you chase your passion, money will come easily. And so this part, I ask many times, like we are doing something we enjoy, it's our highest excitement. How does that work? That energy will be aligned and will be supported. How does that work?
What do you mean?
If we have rent to pay, mortgage to pay, right? If we just do something like that.
Because it's not just about chasing your passion. You also have to acknowledge that you are a functioning member of society who needs money to survive. So you have that intention of creating a business or making a business out of your passion as well. It's not just about chasing your passion. It's about how do I involve my passion.
Okay, that's what we're talking about. But in order to do that, and sometimes we need to invest time, money, and energy.
Yes.
So how can you explain that when we are doing so, we can really trust that process and believe that it will be supported?
Because it is natural if you truly believe that you are following your passion. It just feels very good. It makes you feel good. So why not keep chasing after that feeling?
Right. But then we worry about the money part.
And that's where the negative beliefs come in. Examine them. It's easier said than done to say just trust.
So can you explain the connection between the passion and then the financial we will be taken care of, how that two things are connected?
You have to have both beliefs.
So believing is seeing.
It's a concept of knowing and trusting that you will be abundant in all aspects of your life, including being able to be involved in what you call your passion. That is a form of abundance as well. It's the overlying feeling of knowing that you are supported by the universe and just trusting that things will fall into place. I know that I've mentioned following your negative beliefs, but that is extremely detail oriented, but that is necessary for most people at the stage of humanity. Examine them. And then when you really think about them, you ask yourself, if you know that your beliefs create your reality, what does this negative belief serve you? And is it really true? Or do you make it true because you believe in it?
So number one, we don't know if it's true. And number two, it does not serve us.
Yes.
So why not?
And if you could choose to have the belief that you are always supported, you're always abundant, because abundant does not always mean the form of money.
Say this one more time.
Being abundant does not always mean that you have an abundance of money, of wealth.
Right.
It may come in other forms of support, friendships, and things like that.
But because I want to be able to explain this to people, to anyone. So let's say someone who is...
Well, it really depends on their situation.
In general, right? Who is a awakened person, is a spiritual person. And say the person is learning the art of healing, let's say. But this person is still looking for a 9-to-5 job instead of any other form, because she cannot see if she does anything else, she'll be able to stay. Okay,
well, we do have to honor the current belief system and work with it, because it's not a day and night thing where you get rid of a negative belief tomorrow. If it was ingrained in you by society since you were young, carry that belief for so long. And by honoring it, but also knowing that you can shift, you can have the choice to make the shift.
Have the joy?
Have the choice. You have the choice of making the shift to a different belief. So you start out slow. You may do that.
Yeah, slow is just means...
Or just start out, just do something in that direction. Perform an action, showing and telling your higher self that you're doing it because you're ready. And the higher self gives you hints, the emotions of excitement and curiosity.
Oh yeah, can you tell her about the person who just went to her randomly, told her that she has high energy?
He's not a human.
Wow. Who is he?
His identity will not be disclosed. However, he was there to drop a message.
But why that day? Why to her?
Because it was a message for her.
So this person is related to her. Let's say his spirit guide.
That will not be disclosed.
Why? It's so secret. It's not time for her to know yet?
Yes.
For a good reason.
It's always for a good reason. Say it's not ready, you just can say that it's not time yet.
Can shock her.
That could be one of the possibilities, yes.
Okay, so for
she needs to believe in herself, perhaps. Synchronicity, it's when you pay more attention to the emotions and less to your mind and more to the universe around you, really being in touch and in flow. That's how you know. What do they mean to you? They all mean something. Numbers have a different vibration. Number combinations also have a different vibration.
So which number did you see?
What you can do is always Google it and see which message stands out to you and resonates with you the most. That's one way.
What's the other way?
When you're more in flow with how things work, you just know why that number appears in that spot at that time.
And I feel every time I see repeated number, I just know they're saying you're on
the right path.
Yeah. Just believe that.
Yes, it's like a reaffirmation. You're on the right path. But sometimes there are specific messages.
Yeah.
I can't read the message.
You get the message through energetic.
You can feel it.
Yes, you feel it.
We don't trust ourselves, so we like to get the answer from other people. But if you feel good when you see those numbers, then you know those angel numbers try to tell you you're doing great, right? Keep going. Anything that you like to give her as a advice?
Not at this moment.
Very good. And we appreciate your information and your communication. And if I do a session on her, and I'm sure she will be able to have you channel through her body and in a different body, her
I'm
body.
ready to leave. Thank you.
Okay, so now just relax, and we are going to channel other things. You don't have to stay, but you can stay. So now I'd like to invite this energy to come through